Russia has been roundly accused of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in its war on Ukraine. Now, the Trudeau government in this country has announced that more RCMP officers will be going to the International Criminal Court in The Hague to help investigate those allegations under both international and Canadian law. John Northcott is here, and he has the latest on that story. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Heather. This is potentially the start of a remarkable chapter here in this ongoing history that we are seeing unfold before us here. In terms of Canadian investigators going to The Hague, 7 will go in addition to the 3 that are already there. And when things are safe, they will then go on the ground into Ukraine to effectively gather evidence. This, as operations will be underway back in this country as well. This is very complex, and it's international investigations. The RCMP actually has a special branch for sensitive international investigations, what they call it, money laundering, cyber crime, and war crimes as well. And that's what we're seeing unfold here. Let's listen to the Minister of Public Safety, Marco Mendicino.
It's equally important that we now support the International Criminal Court's formal investigation to whether or not war crimes are being committed in Ukraine. We take this very seriously. An RCMP team will be going over. These are dedicated members who have the experience, the skills, and the expertise to help collect evidence and to marshal a case to bring charges on war crimes or crimes against humanity in a subsequent prosecution.
And this will be done up to the standards of Canadian law. Some nations around the world, for example, allow hearsay evidence. That will not be the sort of evidence that Canadian investigators would gather. This is potentially for investigations and a subsequent prosecution. Vladimir Putin, of course, has been named at the top of that list. But anyone else who has potentially committed a war crime as part of this action in Ukraine could end up being prosecuted at the International Criminal Court. But meanwhile, back in Canada, there could be crimes that are persecuted or prosecuted rather against those who may have committed those crimes, who might have been Canadian citizens, crimes against Canadian citizens. And one other thing to note in all of this, in terms of the gathering of evidence, normal police procedures, you have a situation where you have a crime, obviously, a victim, obviously. This, it's a little different. It may, in fact, start with a suspect and move backwards from there. The crime scene may not be able to be visited. So much of this is around eyewitnesses. So you have situations around cultural awareness, around translations through various languages, all of this. It is a remarkable process, and it's underway right now. Heather?
So, John, when we think about the history of the International Criminal Court, remembering it was set up in the 1990s after the atrocities in the former Yugoslavia, in Rwanda, it is the court of last resort for the criminal prosecution of serious crimes, the serious offenses. In this particular case, how would it work?
Well, this is a situation where the evidence could be brought and that would be dealt with there on the ground. But again, remember that it could also involve Canada. This is a situation that historically, of course, goes back to the Nuremberg trials, but then it was decades before the situation being set up. Process starting in the early 90s, ICC taking effect in 2002. Canada's laws dealing with war crimes specifically didn't kick in until 2000. We've seen the ICC over the years prosecute some 46 individuals internationally for their crimes. In this country, we saw, for example, a man accused of and convicted of numerous crimes associated with Rwanda. He is still in jail in what was a life sentence handed out to him. Heather?
John, thank you very much.